Hey guys, and welcome to I Want My Angst TV Reviews. I'm Sarah, and today we are going to be talking about the first installment of the Fear Street Trilogy coming to Netflix, Fear Street 1994. So in case you don't know, like what rock of non-book reading you live under, Fear Street is brought to us by the infamous teen horror author R.L. Stine. The Fear Street book series started in 1989, and it is a much more older story than his other very popular series, Goosebumps. However, Fear Street reaches like a more teen audience. And in every story, it's a different person, different teenagers, different storyline. The Fear Street series takes place in the fictional city of Shadyside, just like the movie does. It follows different teenagers who happen to encounter the paranormal, and then some of them are just murder mysteries. My favorite was this Moonlight book where a girl auditioned to be in a band and then werewolves come. It was very fun. I'll pop it up once you remember the title. So R.L. Stine has cranked out over 150 Fear Street books, and it's sold over 80 million copies or something like that. So a series, a movie, all of this was inevitable. And I love that it went to Netflix, and I love that it follows a typical horror movie story trope. Let's get into it. Fear Street 1994 starts this trilogy with a murder of a Sunnyvale high school student, and we have the Skullface Killer. And on top of the Skullface Killer, students from rival high schools are now going at each other's throat. So whether they're possessed, whether they have things whispering in their ears, I'm not quite sure. But everyone's real angry at each other and wanting to murder everyone and anything. And welcome to Sunnyvale.
Look, some guy killed a bunch of people at the mall last night.
Holy shit.
So Fear Street 1994 follows a group of kids who are now possessed, not possessed. One of them, the witch, is trying to come after, and they're trying to figure out how to save her. So who we have in our leads are Kate and Sam. The actress who plays Sam, you might recognize from the Amazon original Panic, which is also a great series. You should check that out. And we have Peter, Sam's new boyfriend. Awkward. Josh, who is Kate's brother. He is the super nerd historian of the town. He's got that Charlie Day board of all the murders from previous years in Shadyside. So he's the one you go to when you need to know who's killing everyone in town. And then we have Dina and her boyfriend, friend, fellow drug dealer, I'm honestly not sure, Simon.
She was so sexy, but so crazy.
Normal bitches don't bleed black blood.
When R.L. Stine and Netflix set out to do the Fear Street movie series, they promised that this series would be deadlier and bloodier. And OMG, did they fulfill that promise in this first movie alone. There are some incredible kill moments and some really creative ones and ones that just make you go, because you feel it in your own person. And then I just have to say, shout out to whoever's idea was to use that meat slicer. Man, that was gross. And so good.
I love it, I love it, I love it!
Fear Street 1994 has great kills, fun characters. I love a ghost moment. And this soundtrack is fire. It brought me back to my middle school days of listening to bands like Bush, Rob Zombie, Radiohead, Cypress Hill. This soundtrack is amazing. And I think that adds to the fun of the entire thing. This movie also made me very nostalgic for a time when teenagers worked in the mall and worked the movie theaters. I don't know, in my area, when I go to the mall, it's all mostly adults and very few teens. And I worked in the mall as a teen. And it also made me nostalgic for, when we had to have beepers and everyone didn't have a cell phone. And so getting a hold of each other was hard and slightly terrifying.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I also really loved all the nods to the original Fear Street series. If you watch the credits, there's a ton of little Easter eggs in there. I also really like that one of the murderers over the past, which we're actually going to get to in the next film, is from an actual Fear Street book. The Camp Nightwing Killer is from Fear Street Lights Out. I tried to look up the other murderers. I didn't really find anything. So if I missed something, comment, let me know if some of these other characters that are murdering the town are also from Fear Street books or if they're just made up for the series. Either way, I really love that we're gonna jump into the next movie and it is another killer from the Fear Street book series.
How do we not die? I'm looking at you, witch nerd.
I do have to say that throughout this whole movie, I was actually very confused. The storyline isn't super clear as to why these students are going at each other's throat. Is the witch in the box possessing them? Where's the witch in the box? Like a lot of this stuff, if you blink, you miss it. There's not a ton of character development, and the movie starts at 100 and stays there the entire time. And I'm not saying any of these things are like a bad thing, because I was thoroughly entertained. I want to keep this review as spoiler-free as possible, but I might get spoilery. I'm really sorry, because my issues with the movie are more so story and detail-oriented. I found this movie to kind of like be everywhere. The editing is incredibly erratic. I am wildly confused, and yet I cannot stop watching. I mean, I'm gonna say some things about this movie I didn't like, but just know I could not stop watching, and neither should you. Because overall, I thought this movie was wildly entertaining, had a great soundtrack, fun actors, good kills, and interesting story. However, it had a lot of plot holes, and I was really confused all the way through the movie on what was going on, how it was happening, and I kept pausing to talk to Kiki, who you also see on this channel, and ask her if she was also lost, and I had to rewind it a couple times to really understand what I missed or what I was missing. And I found myself having to fill in the blanks of the story myself in order to make it make complete sense. And I am not opposed to not spoon feeding an audience. There's nothing that actually annoys me more than that. However, I don't need you to spoon feed me, but I do need you to place the bowl out. Does that make sense? Like, you can't just be like, here's these characters, I'm not gonna tell you anything about them, enjoy them, and here comes a storyline. Like, I need something. Like, if you're gonna set up Dina and Simon to be drug dealers, then you need to set them up to be drug dealers. Giving me a scene where she's just babysitting these two girls and tells them to like organize the pills by color and size, that to me doesn't say she's a drug dealer. To me, that means that she's in charge of probably organizing her mom's pills and she doesn't want to do it herself. And in the end, we find out that they're like the local teen drug dealers. And I'm just like, how did that happen? All I needed was like a tiny scene between them at even like the pep rally, like the sports game that happens, and they could just sell drugs in a corner. Boom, done. And did I miss it? Like, maybe I missed it, because I also found that if you blinked, you missed something important. Like when Sam is in the dirt and accidentally touches the box thing, and I could be wrong, y'all. Like I said, if you blink, then like you get a flash of the witch. And at first I was like, is that the witch or is that Sam's face? Like, I wasn't even sure who the flash was of because it happened so quickly. There's a story, like a love storyline between Kate's little brother and Dina. And I didn't even realize that he had a crush on her to begin with. And then don't get me started on this like fake pushed sex scene in this movie. Cause yeah, that's a thing. And I am not against the sex scene in a movie. I think it actually fits horror movies a lot. Like, being scared and sex go very much hand in hand. I'm just gonna say it. And in the trailer for the next Fear Street movie, it makes perfect sense. The camp counselors are banging, of course they are. But in this movie, it just kind of was like, oh yeah, we're doing a teen horror movie. There needs to be a sex scene, right? Okay, so we'll just put it here. We don't need to build up to it. We're just gonna make it happen. And it just felt forced and unnecessary.
Welcome to the suck.
Overall, I'm honestly gonna put Fear Street at like a 75% out of like 100, right? Because I was widely entertained. I did love the kills. The soundtrack is great. The story is interesting. And I think once we get all of the movies out, I think the story will come full circle and make more sense. I just think they needed a way to make 1994 make all of the sense, while also being wildly entertaining.
You can't stop it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I'm Sarah. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, thumbs up this video, comment, let me know what you think of Fear Street 1994. Are you as stoked as we are for this entire Fear Street movie series? Let me know. Again, thumbs up the video, ring the bell, so you don't miss any more angsty videos. Until next time.